So anyway, the blockchain crypto innovation of the week. So basically, the idea here is, imagine that you no longer have to rely on the legacy gatekeepers of journalism and news. The idea it's a service called Civil, and it's what they tout is they're a decentralized marketplace for sustainable journalism set to launch in spring of 2018, which should be pretty soon. The quote from their website says, we're committed to introducing new funding models that enables journalists to focus on journalism, not satisfying clicks over quality mandates from third parties like advertisers and publishers. Now, for this, I do have a small clip I wanted to show about the first minute or so of the video, just to give you an idea what that's about. All right, so this is from the Civil. It's Civil is a marketplace for sustainable journalism, as you can see there. Hit the play arrow right there.
Journalism plays a vital role in our day-to-day lives. It's how we record the first draft of history and how we inform and activate communities large and small. It's a foundation for democracy and a critical hedge against government overreach and corruption. But today, journalism is an industry in crisis. The advertising revenue model that sustained publications for much of the 20th century has simply not translated to today's digital economy. In fact, publications are struggling to stay afloat. Journalists are losing their jobs at alarming rates, and quality content is suffering in the clicks for cash race to the bottom. Civil's mission is journalism. We're introducing a new model that applies blockchain and crypto economics to how we fund and operate journalism. This allows us to take third-party interests completely out of the equation, so that journalists are concerned only with their readers, and citizens can rest assured that journalists are operating with complete editorial independence. We are a cooperatively owned and operated marketplace that connects citizens, people who want to support relevant, fact-based journalism, with journalists focused on producing quality, independent news. In time, we envision a vast ecosystem of app developers, newsmakers, and citizens working together to create a new and sustainable era of accurate information and civil discourse.
All right. So I heard about that on a podcast this last week, and I thought that was rather interesting because it removes like, your CNN, big corporate media business model. It removes the need for, click advertisements and clickbaity headlines and things like that. It actually is designed to, like they were saying, is connect journalists with their readers, like directly through an ecosystem built on blockchain. I don't know if
which would remove essentially the cash money incentive for some of the media bias that we're seeing, because we're seeing a split and we can't rely on absolutely any source right now unless we research it ourselves.
Exactly. So yeah, because so you don't have to have your journalist sitting there thinking, okay, I'm a journalist who wants to tell the real news, but I can only cover certain stories because my employer won't allow me to cover, for instance, anything that says something positive about Trump. And it's kind of neat how they're taking this technology and decentralizing the news industry of all industries. And I can't wait to see if I know there's other companies, or I don't know if you want to call them companies, but other groups that are trying to do something similar. This is just the biggest one that I've heard of so far that seems to have the most promise.
The Independent News Collective has a lot of potential, but we're still going to face a lot of independent bias. And you actually see it with independent sources already, is they like to color their own narrative in everything they say. So there's still going to be a lot of bumps in the road and some big gaps, and the readers and viewers are still going to have to do a lot of thinking for themselves, clearly. But it's a good start in the right direction.
Right on. I agree 100%. Anything would be better than it is now, because it gets really hard when you're trying to have a discussion with somebody and just take the biggest example right now is, well, my sources at Fox News say this, well, my sources at CNN say this, and they say the exact opposite thing about the same topic. And it's like, well, whose facts are we going to go by? Whose narrative are we going to go by? And it's like, God, it's so frustrating when you're trying to present an idea to somebody, and then sourcing the material is such a pain in the ass.
And a lot of it is so clickbaity that once you've looked into it, it's not even news.
Go on.
We'll have articles that will come out and they'll have headlines that basically state that the sky is falling, and you look into it and it's just some bare essential nothing story about something stupid.
Oh yeah. Those things feel like a sad hand job. It's like you go in there, and you're like, you're excited. You're like, what? Hillary's going to jail today? Oh, somebody just tweeted that Hillary's going to jail. Okay.
Exactly. All of a sudden you've clicked and you've opened it and you can backtrack it to a Reddit post or something that someone saw on 4chan.
Yeah, or the latest form of journalism is, we're going to go ahead and just compile a list of different tweets that people were discussing about a topic, and that'll be our story. Like that. No,
right?
No. Yes, Stacy, a sad hand job. It's possible.
Yes, okay? It is the saddest thing to jerk it with tears.
Like, I would actually prefer a sad hand job to a misleading headline. Okay.
Exactly. We spent, especially people like you and I who talk about these things and are trying so hard to be, factually competent. We spend so much time looking into something that turns out to be nothing. Yeah. And we're just like, ah.
And the thing is, I don't mind somebody being biased as long as they're openly biased. Because if I go in knowing that, yeah, this guy like totally hates Trump and he's reporting on this, I'm going to take that little bit of information. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind, so that if I read another story that's totally like worships the ground Trump walks on and they're reporting on the same thing, well, I can kind of take details from both of those stories and kind of put together what really happened.
Right. Find the common threads. But right.
I know where they stand, and that helps a lot. And I don't know how they're going to do this exactly, because this particular what's it called, civil site, it's set up to connect not only journalists directly to readers, but you also have the other part of the economy is the developers. So you're going to have people developing apps on top of this blockchain that's designed to connect all these interested parties together around the idea of true journalism. And maybe the apps themselves, you might check out one app that is very good at sussing out good facts, or whereas one app might be just designed to give you access to all the journalists that, tell you what you want to hear. Or maybe there's going to be another app that, sets you up to only read journalists that report on good stories, good, stuff that's happening awesome. And, there's so many different potentials to this that don't center around, click my article so I can make ad revenue. That's just a terrible old and dated model at this point.
It is, and it's exhausting. And I'm so tired of having to do the legwork for all these quote unquote reporters.